Welcome again, fellow constant readers, to the HSFF audio blog. It is Friday, the 2nd of February 2024. I'm on the morning MTB ride again, because the weather here in Western Germany is surprisingly good for this time of the year, so it's possible. This week I finished the second audiobook of the Dark Tower series, The Drawing of the Three by Stephen King, first published in paper in 1987. As I said before, it is my second journey to the Dark Tower. I read it in paper almost 15 years ago, and now I am listening the audiobooks in English, which are very good so far. Even though they changed the speaker in the second book, and now this changed from George Giddel in the first book to Frank Müller in the second, and I think in the following books. And while there's a Wind Through the Keyhole, the extra book, and this one, it seems to be narrated by Stephen King. I haven't yet decided if I should follow these by publication order, which would make Wind the last book, or if I should read it in chronological order of the Dark Tower timeline itself, which would make it, I think, the book between Wizard and Glass and Song of Susanna. Now Wolves of the Keller. I might have to research this one again. Anyway, the audiobooks are really, really good, and so let me tell you about my thoughts after the second time, The Drawing of the Three. So the book starts where the gunslinger ended the first book. Roland, the last gunslinger, finds himself on the edge of the Western Sea. A seemingly endless beach awaits, and it starts with a shocker, because he awakes and he finds some giant lobster thing mutilating his hand, trying to eat him for dinner. Roland can save himself, but he loses some fingers of his right hand, the good hand, the gunslinging hand. And he gets infected. An infection develops, and this is a theme in the whole second book. He needs to find medicine. But where to find medicine in a desolated place without any human beings? Only him and the so-called lobstrosities. I think these are very cool and unique, memorable Stephen King monsters. So Roland is driven by purpose, and he has no other way out than to continue his journey. So based on his gut feeling, he follows the beach, the endless beach up north. And we might remember the words of the Man in Black at the end of the Gunslinger. Because he did some tarot card game predicting the future for the Gunslinger. And he said 3 followers, companions, quartet, needed to be drawn. And these are the prisoner, the lady in shadows, and the pusher. While marching on, Roland discovers a door on the beach. And this is a portal into another dimension. He walks around and it disappears. It only reveals itself when the gunslinger stands right in front of it. And it only opens to the gunslinger, because he is this hero of fate. And only he can open it. He opens the door, and he sees something incredible, unimaginable. He sees through the eyes of another person. Somebody riding in a sky carriage. Now, this is a theme that recurs in the whole book, which I find very cool. Roland describes the modern world in which the prisoner, later to be described as Eddie Dean, lives in his own words, in Roland's words, our world. it's very cool and makes for some funny moments. And this is also a very cool idea of Stephen King, because he delves into the mind of Eddie Dean. And Eddie, he's this heroin addict. So Eddie is smuggling some cocaine, heroin, whatever, illegal drugs via plane over the border to the United States, to New York City, on a mission for some mob boss called Balazar. And as you can imagine, it goes wrong. Eddie is very annoyed by the sudden appearance of the second mind in his body. And well, he screws up with the customs. And this is the longest of the three plot lines, but I think the coolest, because we have this whole Italian mafia storyline, how Roland helps Eddie escape. And Eddie, he is shattered because his beloved brother Henry, Vietnam veteran and heroin addict, he doesn't survive. But Roland's journey gives Eddie some new purpose. So the two of them find themselves back in Roland's world on the endless beach, and they march on. And yeah, they have some getting used to each other to do. Eventually, they make it to the second door, and this is the door of the Lady in Shadows. And this is, once Roland enters it, he's in the mind of a mad woman. This is the mind of Detta Walker, a black lady in the, I guess, 1960s. She is disabled and she is a split personality. Eddie came from the 1980s of New York, and Detta is from 1960s or so. And this makes also for some memorable slang terms, because this woman, Detta Walker, she has a very dirty mouth, and she speaks the Afro-American slang terms, honky motherfuckers and stuff. It's quite unique. And at some point, Eddie mentions to Roland that she speaks like a cartoon character, like a cliche. Her other personality is Odetta Holmes, and she is the direct opposite. She's a very kind and heartwarming woman. She fights for the rights of the Afro-American population in the civil rights movement. This very touching story. Well, eventually Roland and Eddie bring her to the gunslinger's world. And this is quite dangerous, because Detta, she's a killer. And Eddie, he falls in love with Odetta. The story of how she lost her legs and ends up in a wheelchair finds itself in a closure with the third door, the door of the pusher. And this is the guy who pushed Jake from the first book in front of a car, so that he lost his life and ended up in the way station in the first book. And as it turned out, he does this as a hobby, and he is the one responsible for Odetta losing her legs as well. So the pusher is a very, very evil character, and Roland, he doesn't take any chances with this guy, and he knows he can't trust this man into the quartet, into his fellowship of destiny. But eventually it does something good, because won't spoil too much here, but it helps the merging of the split personalities of Odetta and Detta into one complete personality, into Susanna Dean. So this is a very compact retelling of the second book, The Drawing of the Three. It continues with The Wasteland. It's my personal favorite of the series. Now experiencing it again for the first time in 15 years as audiobook, it was just a delight. Because honestly, Frank Mueller, he did a perfect job of narrating this book, and he voiced especially Eddie. He voiced him very lively, very believable, and honestly there were really a few instances where I had to laugh out loud because it was so funny. And Eddie is really a very cool character. You find yourself sympathizing with him very fast. While Roland, he is the lone gunslinger. Yeah, it's about survival for him. He needs to find his medicine. He has these doors into our reality. It's such a mind-bending storyline. I'm hooked again. I'm telling you. The Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I'm a Stephen King fan for most of my life, and this one, it combines all of Stephen King's works. It's very cool to read it again. I can highly recommend it. So what's happening next? Obviously, I'm going to start with The Dark Tower 3, The Wastelands. This one is with the choo-choo train, and I think with Shardik, the bear. It's some great moments in it. Can't wait. Jake will return to the quartet. Somehow there's a haunted house. Excited for that already. And yeah, I'm reading in paper as well. It's still Stephen King's Firestarter. Enjoying it too. But honestly, I had some private things going on, a lot of stress. But the book itself is great. I'm page 300 something, expecting to finish it sooner or later. And then I'm going to do the audio blog about it as well, of course. So if you made it to the end, thanks a lot. Feel free to give a thumbs up or subscribe even. I'd be especially happy if you would leave a comment. And yeah, thank you very much. Have a great day. Have a good time. Till the next time maybe. Bye bye.